Hello, everybody, and welcome back. I am so glad you are tuning in live, catching the replay, or listening on the podcast. My name is Yang Pratt, and I am the Chief Dreamer and Podcaster right here at Our Young Creators. Here at OYC, we love helping people harness the power of technology to learn to become creators and not just consumers on the devices we all carry around with us every day. Now, today we have a special guest. We have another graduate of Podcast in a Weekend, and I am thrilled to introduce all of you to Coni Meyers. Her new podcast is called Kickbutt Leadership. So if that doesn't tell you something about this amazing woman, I don't know what will. Coni, I want to welcome you to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Young. I've loved getting to know you, and I've been following your podcast now, and I love every bit of it.
Oh, thank you so much. And I am excited for your podcast because it has such a great name, first of all, but it really speaks to how you view leadership. Can you take us on a little story and tell us how you got to this place in your business?
Well, it really all started when my husband passed away. And I had to change my life. My life is 180 degrees different than what it is today. And I discovered that I've helped thousands of people with their businesses, both individually as well as for the business itself. And I really found that my true passion was really creating leadership that is 21st century, because leadership in the past was so different. It was like a dictatorship or from the top down. And now it's not that way at all. True leadership is about supporting the people that are part of your team or that are following you and helping to lift them up. I love our friend Kim, the Whites. She always talks about how when the water rises, the boats rise. Well, a true leader makes sure that water is always rising. And I did a retreat in January of 2017 where it was for the National President of Women's Council of Realtors for her executive team. And she wanted me to talk about mindfulness leadership and emotional intelligence. And I started doing research and totally believing in the whole mindfulness thing anyway. But what I didn't realize was there was so much scientific backup to prove that mindfulness thinking and mindfulness leadership truly makes a difference in both one's life as well as their professional lives. So that's kind of where Kickbutt came from. However, when you say mindfulness leadership, some people's eyes roll and they're thinking, oh God, it's going to be more woo-woo stuff. So I called it Kickbutt because it really does kick up your leadership a big notch.
And you brought up a really good point about this word of mindfulness, because it does seem one of those catchy words. Lots of people are using it, and I think lots of people are using it incorrectly. So tell us what mindfulness means to you.
Mindfulness in a nutshell is staying in the present moment. So when you have mindfulness thinking, you're not thinking about the future. You're not thinking about the past. You're thinking about where you need to be, where you are right now. And by coming from the present moment, you are able to make better decisions. You're not worrying. You're not stressed. There's been amazing studies done about how being mindful in your business can increase your bottom line, save you all kinds of money, and just increase and improve the relationships you have with both your team members as well as your clients and customers.
That sounds amazing, and it sounds like what everybody wants. And I love that the word mindfulness to you is about being in this present. Like you said, it's not about stressing about the future or the past, but being totally in it, in the moment, and living from this moment and leading from there. I think that's a beautiful way to describe mindfulness.
Well, thank you. And I really, the word Kickbutt came about because there's such scientific proof now, and it's so strong. As a matter of fact, I don't remember who said it, but one of the quotes was that if you, it's not a nice thing to have or be a mindfulness leader. It's a must-have in today's companies and in leadership roles. So it's really something that we all need to pay attention to. And the bottom line is that you can be a mindful leader without taking any additional minutes out of your already busy life. You can do it in the moment while you're doing all your other tasks.
Can you give us an example of how a leader of a business may use some of your topics of mindfulness in their business today?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So one of my favorite is when you get ready to start a meeting, that first of all, as you're walking to the meeting, or while if you're waiting for people to come in, take just 2 minutes to breathe. That's it. Pay attention to your breath. That will bring you to the present moment. Then, when everybody is together for the meeting, ask something personal of each person. So maybe something fun. I have one person I've interviewed that she actually started a book club, so that when she starts her meetings, they have a conversation about some chapter in the book. Because what that does is that brings everybody to the present moment. And so that's a good example. Same thing if you're making a phone call. Maybe it's a really important phone call where you're going to make a sale, or maybe it's a difficult phone call where something's gone wrong. If you just stop and breathe and then think about the outcome that you want, be grateful for whatever that outcome is that you want before you make that phone call. And it's been proven that in meetings, the meetings are more creative. They last less time. And people they're way more productive. When it comes to a phone call, the outcome of that phone call is going to change based upon what it is that you put out that you really want. But you are coming from the present moment. You're not coming from something else.
Oh, that is so good, because the idea of taking these couple minutes to breathe, I think, is so important, because I know for me personally, when I start to get stressed, if I have to go lead a meeting, I don't breathe very well to begin with, because I'm taking slow, shallow breaths mostly, and it's doing nothing to help me to be calm and to be the leader I need to be. So I need to start setting a clock and reminding myself to take those 2 minutes before I dive into anything, not just leading a team, but just for everything, because I think we're all in that cycle of not taking enough breaths deeply and mindfully throughout the day. But I think it does have a magical way of bringing us back to the present, because we're focusing on ourselves, we're focusing on that outcome, like you said, and we're focusing on that gratitude. And I think that bit is also really important and often missing when I interact with leaders, because they're not thinking about that. And you can definitely tell energetically where someone's coming from.
Oh, and that's a really huge point, Young, because if a leader is coming from stress, or coming from worry, or coming from not sure where something's going to go, the best solution is to be grateful for what you want that outcome to be.
Yes.
I mean, to me, when I started practicing that, and this has been a process for me, I was one of those typical workaholics where I, went, didn't stop to breathe, and was always on to the next thing, rather than stopping and appreciating where I was and being grateful for what I had. And as soon as I switched that in my own mind, and really, it's only 2 minutes of breathing. I mean, that we're not talking. We can do that while we're brushing our teeth in the morning. We can do that while we're taking a shower. We can do that when we're combing our hair, putting our lipstick on before we have a meeting. It can be incorporated into whatever it is we're doing in our lives. What really is crazy, we can just remember to do that. And I love your idea of setting an alarm. I tell people they should set an alarm for every hour and a half, 2 hours, where they just stop and breathe. That brings them back to the present moment.
That's such a good tip, and really kind of leads me into the podcast, because even in our time together, these few minutes, you've already given us so many actionable tips. And I know your podcast has so much more to offer of these tips that are we can take action on and implement into our lives that moment. So can you tell us a little bit about the podcast, who it's for, and when we can expect new episodes?
Well, I've been working on wanting to have a podcast now for a couple of years. And I'm so grateful for you helping to make that happen. The Kickbutt Leadership podcast is going to be all about interviews that I do with leaders that are highly successful and what they do to keep themselves mindful and how to be a great kickbutt leader. So there's interviews there. Each interview is going to be from a different background. I'm really involved in the real estate industry, so a lot of them will be highly recognizable leaders in the industry that we all can learn from, but also leaders outside of the industry. So I'm really excited about it. And I'll be doing some that I'm just going to have. I'll have hardcore tips that somebody can print out something and take it with them as a reminder. So I'm really excited. And my next podcast, I'm hoping will be available in 2 weeks.
Amazing. Yes, you're making so many huge strides to get this podcast out into the world, because I think people really need to hear your approach on leadership, because it's so different from so much of what is available out there and what some of the experts are out there touting. I really just love the way you frame it all together. And if someone is watching this live or catching the replay or listening on the podcast and they're thinking, well, I'm not a business owner. I'm not an entrepreneur. I'm not a leader in my life. I work for somebody else. What would you tell them about this podcast and maybe why they should listen to?
This podcast is actually designed for individuals. I mean, what I'm going to be talking about, you can use with your kids. You can use it in your personal life as much as your professional life, because no matter what, we are leaders. We are leaders of our own lives. If we are an employee of a company, by being a better leader in our own lives, we'll be a better employee. We'll be able to influence. Our range of energy influence is quite large. And so if we come into work, or if we approach our teenage kids with the right mindfulness attitude of gratitude, then everybody around us their attitude is going to change, because it's very addictive. So that's one of the things I love about you, Young, because you always have a smile on your face. You always have a positive attitude. And I can tell that you come from mindfulness, whether or not you realize it or not.
Well, and that's a really good, interesting point, too, because as I'm listening to you thinking about this word leaders, for so long in my life and even in my business, I never recognized myself as a leader. But like you pointed out, whether you have kids or you're going to work for somebody else, the principles you're teaching are all about how to show up bigger and better in our own lives, no matter what our occupation is. I love it.
Absolutely. And I think if there's any takeaway from this conversation, it is that we all are leaders, and we all can share with our mindfulness attitudes of gratitude. So excellent point.
I love it. And Angie, thank you so much. I'm glad you're tuning in live. I know you know that Coni is a total rock star when it comes to mindfulness and leadership. So I'm so grateful today for having the opportunity to chat with you, Coni. And I cannot wait for the world to really dive into this meaty topic that you're breaking down in little bite-sized, actionable chunks for them, so they can be a better person, they can be a better leader, and maybe they can start seeing themselves as a leader, even if they don't feel like one today. And I think that subtle shift is going to make huge, huge, remarkable changes in people's lives.
Well, I'm really excited about it. I cannot wait for it. I'm just waiting for it to go live on iTunes and the other spots. And as soon as it is, I'll be putting it out to the world. And the sooner for me, the better, because I'm so excited. I'm biting at the bullet here.
While people are waiting for this to show up in iTunes and all their other favorite platforms, where can they come and connect with you and find you and glean your amazing wisdom?
I have, so my Facebook page is Coni, and Coni is spelled Coni. Meyers, Meyers, founder of Crystalline Moment Success Movement. That's my business page on Facebook. I also have a Connie Meyers personal page. But then my website is www.kickbuttleadership.com. And there's actually a free 7 daily practices that they can get from the website and pull it down. That talks about things you can do each day. And it starts with breathing.
And what a gift that is for all of us. So definitely, if you are listening today, I want you to go over to Connie's website and grab those 7 days of instruction, because you can make really huge shifts, especially in your mindfulness, in your consciousness, in a very short span of time. Most people think it takes forever and years of study and, quiet meditation. And I know from you that's not the case, that we can really, once we start thinking about this thought, we can make that internal shift and everything starts changing. So Connie, when we're done, I would love for you to come back and put all of your links directly underneath this video. And if you are listening over on the podcast, I would love for you to come back to our website, ouryoungcreators.com, where you can find this episode with Connie in video format as well as audio format, and even some text if you prefer to read. Now, Connie, before we wrap up, is there one piece of advice you can give to listeners about becoming a better leader?
The bottom line is being grateful for where you are and what you have right now. When you come from gratitude, you become a good leader. And coupling that with a good vision, those are the two things: being grateful and having a clear vision of where you want to go, either personally or professionally. Those two things are key to being a very successful kick-butt leader.
So you've heard it here first. Leading with gratitude and having a vision can help you become a better leader today, not tomorrow, but today. Connie, I want to thank you so much for your time. I am super excited for this podcast to air out on all these platforms. I'm even more excited to meet you in person this weekend, which is super exciting. And I want to thank everybody who has been tuning in live. Angie, thank you for being here. I'm so glad you were here to watch this interview live. Thank you for listening on the podcast. My name is Young Pratt. I've been here having a conversation with Connie Meyers all about her new podcast, Kickbutt Leadership. Thank you, everyone, and I'll catch you very soon. Cheers.